guys, Squaresoft gets a little soft, unfortunately. And so, if you think that even these RPG makers aren't worried about the game market, well, we got bad news for you. This is a cow's opinion. Catchphrase. We don't got one still. But I am doing better with the throat, so I can make more videos like this, which is good because thanks to Jordan Midler of Video Games Chronicle, Square Enix has been reporting that they are canceling games and trying to cut costs. Now, this is something that's happening in a lot of the gaming industry. Western companies so far are more focused on layoffs. Square Enix appears to be doing something kind of different. There might still be some layoffs because of their actions, but probably not internally. We'll look at why in a second. But the company has enacted a fundamental review of its development process earlier this year, as we reported in a previous video where we talked about how the head of the Dragon Quest portion of Square Enix had been replaced along with several others because of quality issues, overcosts, overrun, things not being done. So the meeting held on March 27th, which was just made public today. So we didn't know this happened. It's over a month old to everyone into the company, but outside we are all new. This is new information to us. They decided that they would revise the group's approach to the development of high definition, or HD, games with the intention of being more selective and focused in the allocation of development resources. Because of this, they're going to report content abandonment losses, which means things like entire games or expansion packs or DLC for other games. A lot of stuff's being cut, and they're expecting to lose about $141 million because of this. That's a lot of cheddar, I'll tell you what. Which, as the article reinforces, this means projects have been canceled or rescoped, made smaller, amid a challenging games market. We've been talking a lot about the layoffs in the challenging games market, so the fact that even Square Enix, with their different business model in Southeast Asia, is feeling it really sucks. Now, as we said in the Dragon Quest video, Square Enix wanted to do a review of all of its development process because they were not happy with the speed, the costs, the quality of games. And this decision led to the appointment of Takashi Kiryu, excuse me if I'm mispronouncing that, as its new president, who then said, back in February, "We are reviewing from scratch what the organizational structure is and what the best way is to implement the contents of the pipeline." Now, they want less development. It goes through a little stuff, but they want less development by external studios. They were having so much stuff made that they had to outsource to external studios and get other people to work because they couldn't hire and train fast enough. But they feel that if they keep it in-house, the titles will be more quality, and they will also have higher profit margins because they don't have to pay out for that, which is true. I mean, if you're going to make $1 billion, if you have to spend $50 million extra to outsource and get it out faster and it's of good quality, you don't care. But in this more challenging market, those dollars start to matter. And also, it's a game. You don't know that you're going to make $1 billion. Which, if you're not named Grand Theft Auto, you're probably not making $1 billion. I think that's pretty safe. So it's going to include even a new checking mechanism that will let the company make decisions on a game's quality at an earlier stage of development. And I think we kind of saw this with certain games. I don't want to name any of them specifically. But like Forspoken didn't look or sound like a bad game. But I don't know if it was up to the quality of a Square Enix game. And it was okay. It wasn't terrible. Wasn't unplayable. But it didn't really take off or hit anything. And that was a really high quality HD game. And, looked beautiful, but just played okay. Story was nothing. It didn't seem to grab anybody's attention, really. Now, earlier this month, Daniel Ahmad, who is the Director of Research and Insights at Nico Partners, has also claimed that Final Fantasy VII Rebirth has been underperforming. And this is one of the big things that makes people go, oh my gosh. That is bad, because it's selling about half of what Remake sold in the same time frame. It looks like it'll have a weaker tail prior to any PS Plus-like release. Now, Final Fantasy VII Remake got released for the PS4, think about that, 4 years ago, when the console had 100 million units, which is double that of the PS5. Now, that's very, very interesting to hear. Mainly because, as we know, there was this huge global health crisis, the pandemic, that happened during this console cycle. So PS5s, Switches, Xboxes, basically any console has not sold as well as the previous one, no matter how good the games are, because you had multiple years of low amounts of units that you could produce of these. It's also one of the things that accelerated the trend to people buying more games digitally. You couldn't get physical releases as easily. You couldn't just pop on down to Target, Walmart, GameStop, what have you, and get it. There was a reason not to go, and also they had much lower volumes of products. So you just be like, man, I'll just get I like the physical copy, I'll just get the digital and save it. So what do we think about this? This sucks, but it's kind of not surprising. I mean, Square Enix has released a fair number of games recently that haven't set the world on fire. And I haven't done a video on it, I don't think, but I had been hearing rumblings that Rebirth was not selling as well as a Remake. And the fact that it's selling half, part of that is the time frame. I mean, you release a sequel 4 years later on an entirely another console, and it's a remake of a previous game. It may or may not have some hype down, you know? Makes you think for a second, don't it? So, I mean, 4 years for a sequel it's not even a sequel, it's the same story. And they're nowhere near telling us, is it going to be another 4 years for Final Fantasy, what do they call it? Well, they don't even have the name of it yet, but Final Fantasy VII Trilogy's finale, as we'll call it for now. Is that going to be another 3 to 4 years? Because, again, is the hype going to die down even further? And look, don't get me wrong. Final Fantasy VII Remake and Rebirth look beautiful. They play pretty well. They are a bit more actiony. But they're also, you got to understand, they got to be hugely expensive to make. I mean, my God, they're hugely expensive. And so when the first game sells very well, but then the second game is only at about 50% of the strength, that's going to make Squaresoft go, whoa, wait a minute. You also have things like Helldivers 2 and Larian Studios making Baldur's Gate 3. These studios making not AAA, massive, huge quality products, but they're making really great games. They still look good. They play phenomenally. They have amazing online profiles and people at those studios who get that you should just play with your players and have fun with them. You know, don't talk down to them. Don't preach to them. Just say, hey, you want to play this game? Cool. Here's a bunch of fun stuff on Twitter and Facebook and stuff for you, and here are communities you can interact with. They really get what is doing well in the games market. But we've got Squaresoft, we've got EA, we've got the old Activision Blizzard. We've got a lot of the big names just not seeming to keep up with the shift in taste. It was recently reported in 2023 that most gamers played more games that were released in 2022 or earlier, catching up on the catalogs, replaying old games. And that's because, you know, a lot of the stuff that people were selling and have been selling isn't really appealing to people. And, you know what? Shout out to Westtown HD, who was mean and tagged me and it's like, I think your your Dragon Quest 3 remake got canceled. And I'm like, man, it better not have. If I had to wait this long for that freaking vaporware of a game, I need this or I need Super Robot Wars to come out this year, man. It's been a while. I need a new game. But guys, let me know what you think about Square Enix having to cancel games, be more selective, and put more. Do you think that this sucks? Or do you think, yeah, based on the last year or two of product, I can understand it. I wasn't really happy about it. I mean, honestly, I think the biggest RPG that made more... Final Fantasy Rebirth has been making a pretty good splash, but I feel like after a week, I was hearing a lot more about the newest Like a Dragon, which is just really like lots of gameplay, lots of side quests, lots of everything in a really fun package. So let me know what you think. Comment down below, and you know what else you can do? You can play more games. I didn't shout it this time because someone said he thought I was shouting a little too much, so I'm trying to vary it up just a little bit. Make it all classy and stuff. But guys, games are awesome. You deserve awesome. And hopefully we will get Dragon Quest III Remake. If not, I've got the latest version of it on my freaking Switch, and I will probably play that for the channel if it ever gets announced that it's gone, because my god, I want that game. I'll see you later.